Welcome back to the Forge Your Own Path Summit. I'm your host, Janine Worth, trauma expert, helping female entrepreneurs to heal so that they can have the spectacular success they desire. So my guest today is Claire Winter, and she's been a content creator, journalist, and copywriter for 20 years. She's passionate about helping business owners to create content that converts via her online course and one-to-one training, and writes for 41 magazines. That's amazing. Thank you so much for making the time to come and talk to us today.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome. So please tell us a bit about your own entrepreneurial journey, because you actually started out in radio and television.
Yeah, that's right. So many years ago, I'm not going to say how many, I started my career in radio and television. I was lucky enough, my first kind of paid job was at ITN. I worked for their 24-hour news radio station, which does no longer exist, but also LBC, which is still a well-known talk radio station in London. And some of the radio presenters are still on LBC that I work with, which is great. People like Nick Ferrari, and well-known people like that. So that was great. And then I also worked on the 24-hour news channel at ITN. So I sort of cut my teeth as a news producer and content creator, really. Then I went on to have children. I worked over at Osterley as well on a breakfast program called Rise, and then I went on to have children. So I had to change my career. I worked in PR for local government, and then I bought my own business, and that's really when I feel my entrepreneurial journey started. So I bought my own magazine. It was called Families Magazine, and it covered Berkshire, which is where I live. So I wrote specifically for parents. So I had a range of small business owners that advertised with me, but also larger businesses as well. So I was dealing with a wide range of people. So that was great. And I did that for 8 years, and I loved doing that. And I sold that business 3 years ago, and I continue to write for Families Magazine, which is a franchise business. So we have 41 magazines. So I do reach. So I write their national content still, but my passion now is training other entrepreneurs and business owners to write content that converts, to really get copy that gets people engaged and in their world, and wants them to, create such good content that your customers come to you rather than the other way around. So I've absolutely loved doing it. So I have an online course, and I also help people one-to-one.
That sounds great. So let's get into that a bit, copywriting, because engaging content can be a tough nut to crack, especially for new entrepreneurs. Why do you think that is? Why is it so difficult for us who are not writers by trade to write something that other people love to read?
Well, I've worked with lots of entrepreneurs, and it's an interesting one. I actually think it's fear. It's not people's writing ability. I firmly believe that we can all write good copy. And it's about belief and getting rid of fear of visibility, thinking that, and judgment, actually, thinking that, that your story is not important, that what you've got to share with the world isn't unique and special. And I'm here to tell you it is. We all have a unique skill set, and it's finding that and finding that spark that ignites you. And when you share that with the world and you're passionate about it, it transforms the way you write copy. So it's about really looking at what your niche is, what's unique about you, and how you help others. And this is a big mistake people begin with, is that they think they should be writing about themselves, and they should be writing about the people they serve and help, whether you're a product or service-based business. So it's not about you, it's about them. You can tell your story, but it has to resonate with your customer or your ideal customer. So once you get over those barriers of kind of fear and visibility and judgment, and you really, really knuckle down on who you're talking to and what lights you up, literally what makes you feel good, the copy should follow.
That's good. I'm glad that you mentioned fear and visibility, because those are topics that come up with my clients as well. You know, if people are doing all the things but they aren't thriving in their business, there's usually a reason, something to do with mindset or conditioning that's lying behind that needs to be explored, because otherwise this topic is just going to come up all the time. So that's a really interesting thing to dive into later. So let's talk about this. Sorry,
say that again.
I said, so we can talk about that a bit later on. The things that come up about visibility. So what is the biggest misconception you've seen people have about standing out online?
Biggest misconception? Well, obviously, I think you need to sort of go into the online world with your eyes wide open. I am not a believer in writing copy that isn't true. You can't make six figures overnight. If someone's told you that, it's not true. It takes hard work, resilience, and a growth mindset to build a business and make it successful. There are sometimes people that might just get lucky and hit those kind of figures, and also it could be turnover, it might not be profit. So just be wary of the kind of I think outlandish claims, and don't make them yourself. I think you can be authentic. You can look at what's you know, the all the experience you have behind you and the people that you've helped to help you build you know, to help build confidence and let people know how great you are. You can use testimonials and social proof, but you don't need to overinflate or, you know, say you're a best-selling author if you're not, and etc. etc. So I think that's the biggest misconception, that you have to overinflate success or make up testimonials. You know, you're going to get found out. You know, it's easy for people to figure this stuff out these days, and I think everyone, you know, this market's becoming bigger and bigger. The online course market is massive, so you've got to do your research, you know, dive a bit deeper into people and their expertise, and, you know, what they're qualified in. And I always really, you know, ask to speak to people who've done the courses, you know, really kind of do a bit of due diligence. Don't just believe the hype. I mean, I'm all about writing engaging copy and getting people into your world, but don't overinflate what you do. I just don't think you don't need to be. You can be authentic and get the right people coming to you.
That's good, because that's something that I've seen a lot online as well, is these people who are trying to build a following very quickly, that are, you know, hiring cars and pretending it's theirs to show how successful they are, and basically just scamming people. There isn't a better word I could think of for it than scamming people, because they're busy faking this perfect online life.
Yeah, and let's, you know, online life's messy. I remember being on a, you know, a Zoom call, and, you know, one of my kids came in, the cat's like biting my feet under the table. You know, this is real life. You know, the kids are like, I haven't got any lunch money. You know, that's my life. You know, it's messy, it's imperfect. I work from home. I'm lucky I'm in my shed quarters, as I like to call them right now. But, you know, that's real. You know, I'm a mother and I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm proud of being both. And, you know, I'm really proud of the success I've had, but I've also made mistakes along the way, as we all have. But yeah, you don't need to hire a flashy car and share your jet set lifestyle to be successful. And I think also, you know, we're doing this to feel good. We're doing this to have a life of freedom, to work when we want to work with, and work with the people we like working with. And for me, that's more important than a flashy car.
So what are some of the biggest mistakes you see entrepreneurs make when trying to be visible on social media?
They're not consistent. So some people will try things and they give up too easily. Like I had someone, I've a free community called Cracking Content, and she shared a blog, and she put in a call to action, because I talk about that quite a lot. So it's what do you want someone to do next? It doesn't have to be a sales call to action. That's not a good idea, but just, follow me, find me in my community, get them to, go somewhere next. And she was really, really pleased. And she shared a cute picture of her sons, and it had a really, really good organic reach. And then she was like, but only 6 people clicked on the blog. But I'm like, Facebook want people to stay in Facebook. These people are staying on Facebook. So I'm like, make that into a long post with an image. And, that's resonating with people, and keep on going. She felt like that was a failure, but, she had a reach of 1,000. Like, that's not a failure just because you didn't get the clicks, because Facebook want to keep you in Facebook. So she's going to try next week. She's going to create a long post within Facebook and see what the reach is like. And this is what I mean. It's like, it's incremental, just because she is getting somewhere because of that kind of organic reach, and she has to keep on going. And I felt like if I hadn't encouraged her, that she would see that as a barrier and stop. Whereas I'm like, you have to keep on going with that. You have to keep on sharing the content consistently. And I think that's the big thing, because you just don't know who's watching. You have many people, if you've got a free community, that may never comment or like or anything, and they lurk for a long time, and then they appear and buy your course. You just don't know. Some people are really introverted and shy, and they're not ready to engage with you publicly, but they're watching every day what you're doing, and they're learning, and you're sharing information that's of value to them. And at some point, when they're ready in their own business, they'll come back and they'll contact you. And that's the thing, content creation, it is a long game. You can't just suddenly start creating content and expect this massive surge of followers. It's unless you're paying for expensive Facebook ad campaigns, you're not going to get a huge reach initially. You've got to keep on, choose your platforms where your ideal customers are hanging out. LinkedIn's a great place to get organic reach. If you're wanting to connect with other female business owners and entrepreneurs, that is a really, really good place to find people, because the organic reach on that platform is still really, really good. And obviously video, a lot of people are scared to do video, and we all know that video is the future of online marketing. So if you haven't done video yet, start practicing. You can come into Facebook groups, and we do a live challenge about once a month in my group, so people can practice in a smaller, safer space. If you're too scared to go live, film yourself for a couple of minutes and upload it onto your business page or your Instagram, wherever you like, where your people are, where your audience is. It's important to just start, really. So for me, it's consistency and not using video. So if you haven't started doing video, start now, and pre-record yourself and upload it, and ease yourself in gently. The more you do it, the easier it gets.
Yes. And I know that from personal experience, because when I think back to my first Facebook Live, oh my goodness, I was literally trembling before I hit that start button. And the mistake that I made then, which I don't do anymore, is I went back and watched it and basically critiqued myself, writing notes and
no.
Now that I've learned, now I don't often, when I'm in interviews or podcasts, that I often don't even go back and listen to it or watch it, because my intention was to serve in that moment. And we often judge ourselves so harshly, probably the worst out of everyone. And that, I just found it was very counterintuitive or counterproductive to go and then be so harsh with myself. When I started getting messages from people that had watched that saying, you took the words out of my mouth, I resonated with that was so amazing. Yes. Then I learned, okay, that fear of showing up, your desire to help people needs to basically be higher than the fear of showing up. That will serve, because it is really scary putting yourself out out there on the internet for strangers and their little keyboard warriors to come and judge and critique you. It takes some overcoming. I mean, so, but as you said, it does get a lot easier. Now I don't even, before I used to write down notes of what I want to speak about. And now I just hop on sometimes, with my hair in a bun, looking like crap because that's where I'm at on that day. Also being a mom of 3 kids and working from home, as you said, stuff happens. But that authenticity, I think, is so important because, and that's what I want to speak about next, is often, especially new entrepreneurs, feel that they need to hire copywriters to help them get started. What advice would you give someone that wants to go that route to still keep their authentic voice in that copy?
Oh, that's a good question. So the way I work with people is we work together. So they'll book like 4 hours with me, and either in person or via Zoom, depending where they are. And we'll work through sort of their ideal client avatar and who they want to reach, and we kind of do it together. I also write copy. I've kind of moved away from that. I like working with people, so their own voice is sort of woven through their copy, and also they feel empowered to take what they've learned away with them to go and write their own copy. That we kind of go through the sort of pain points of their customers and their answers, and they can sort of take that away with them, and they feel much more confident and empowered to go and write their own copy. And we also do it on my Content That Converts Mastermind, which is a 90-day sort of really deep dive into writing copy, including sales pages and lead magnets and so on, the kind of whole copy journey. But I think if you're hiring a copywriter, you need to look at the copy they've written for others, and check out their website and check out the copy they've written for other people. And if you like the way they've written about themselves and other people, that's a good place to start. And obviously, I always book a sort of 15-minute call with people, a complimentary call, to see if we're a good fit. And there are some, it works both ways, doesn't it? And sometimes I've told people, I'm not the right person to help them in their particular niche or sector, and I'll send them to someone else, because I don't think, you can't be all things to all people. Sometimes it's, you're not a good fit. And I think that's, again, about being authentic, not accepting all work, but working with people that you can help.
Yes. Let's talk a bit about your mastermind, Content That Converts. What is that all about?
So I've been running online courses for about over a year, and this one is a kind of culmination of all that I've learned in 20 years of content marketing. So I've built 2 businesses using content marketing. So I'm passionate about it. I'm passionate about using video and multimedia. Helping people make their words come alive in print, online, and on social media. That's kind of my tagline. So this course takes people from, I don't know what to write, to being able to create content easily in 1 to 2 hours a week that will help them grow their audience and reach more people, and ultimately make more sales. That's the aim of the game. I've got a client who doubled her reach after doing my course, and she's a product-based business, but I've also worked with coaches and relationship coaches, all sorts of different people, but they tend to be female entrepreneurs who want to get on top of their content because they know they should be doing it, but they just don't. It falls to the bottom of their list. And I know I've been there. I've been that entrepreneur who's got to do the accounts, the sales, the admin. I'm lucky. When I ran Families Magazine, I grew a really big virtual team. I had an accountant, I had a salesperson, I had women that delivered the magazine. I had the whole lot going on. And then I went back to having quite a small business. And it's, I just have a VA now who helps me, but, she's invaluable, but I know also what it's like to do it all yourself. So, we create systems of creating content that doesn't take a lot of time, that will resonate with your ideal customer. And we work through all the different elements that you need to grow your business, and sales pages, lead magnets, which are free downloads, which you can grow your email list, because we all know we need to grow our email lists because we don't know what social media platforms are going to do. We don't own them. We use social media platforms to amplify the content that we create, and that's why I'm a firm believer in blogging. Some people are like, oh, I don't want to blog. I'm like, you're blogging from your website. You own your website. The blogs help build your SEO. People can find you organically. What's not to love about it? Then you can repurpose your blog into about 10 different bits of content. They are amazing. They're amazing. And I've worked with entrepreneurs and particularly coaches who, a lot of them don't like writing, actually, because they're people, whether they do virtual or one-on-one or group courses, and I'm like, well, let's take your video and we'll send it to rev.com and repurpose it. So then obviously you've got to do some work, but you can send a really good video or vlog that you've done and repurpose it and make that into a written bit of content. And for the writers, we do it the other way around. We send, they write the blog and then they do a Facebook Live or a video about the blog they've written. And then you can break them down into social media posts. So I'm a massive fan of blogging, and we do a good deep dive into creating them as well. And the other thing I've got is a pitch to the press bonus. So it's a course I've been working on this year, because obviously being a journalist, and I still call out for people to contribute to my features and things using Twitter, and I've received thousands of press releases. So this course kind of gives people, once they need to do the mastermind really to get their copy right and their content right. And then this added bonus will then help them pitch out to podcasts, local media, national media, and influencers, thought leaders in their space where they might have podcasts or guest blogging opportunities. But you need to get the foundations right, and that's what this course will do. Because if you haven't got your content right, if a journalist hits your website and you haven't got current blogs and you haven't got your current packages and what you're up to, they're going to be like, oh, I'm not sure about this person. So that's why your website's your shop window. It has to be right, and then the rest can follow. And also the content you're creating, I'll check out people's social channels as well before I include them in a feature, because you want to check that they're the real deal, that they are an expert at what they do.
Yes, I fall into that category of not writing is not my preferred form of communication. I love doing podcasts. I love doing videos and summits and things like that. And it took quite a bit of twisting of the arm for me to start writing regularly, because that it wasn't my preferred medium. Yeah. But I love the fact that you say that people can repurpose their content, because I think a lot of people, especially when they're starting out and they're trying to do all of the things in their business, they sometimes forget, or they don't really know how to do that effectively, and to actually from one post be able to create maybe 10 Facebook posts or things like that.
Yeah. I mean, everyone loves a listicle, and what I mean by listicle is 10 ways you can get over trauma, 10 ways to create content that converts, and so on, those kind of things. Because if you think about it, you've got 10 bits of advice. So that could be 10 Instagram posts, 10 tweets, and so on. And then I wouldn't link them all back to that blog, but you've also got somewhere for them to land. You can send them to a freebie, because I do 10 reasons why you should blog, and then people can download my blog brainstorm guide, or and so on. So you've got, you need places to send people, but it could just be to your other social channels or your free community if you have one. So they are it all fits together. And like you say, if you're into vlogging, send some of your Facebook Lives, download them and send them to rev.com and repurpose them.
So when it comes to creating content, often I'll hear people say, I can't do it today because I don't feel inspired. What is your opinion on that? Should people do it when they feel inspired, or should they make a habit out of it where they sit on a Monday morning from 9 to 11 and create content? what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, that's a good one. So I think habits are important, but creativity is more important to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to work a little bit fluidly because of this reason. And I don't think it's helpful to try and write when you are really stuck. Equally, I don't think you should give up straight away.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would probably do if I've allocated Monday morning, which I'd never allocate Monday morning, it'd have to be a Tuesday. I do admin on Monday. So let's say Tuesday is the content morning, and I'm not feeling inspired. So one, I'd probably go take a walk. So just take even just around the block, like 10-minute walk, come back, and then I do something called the Pomodoro technique. So I would sit and try and write for half an hour and then break for 5 minutes. And I think the mindset around that would be, I'm going to jot down some ideas. They don't have to be fully formed today, but I'm just going to do a download, see, and then that way you are not failing, but you're also giving yourself room to go, okay, but I'm going to look at this either on your next content day, if you're doing it weekly, or just go, I'm going to put an hour in my diary tomorrow to hone this and make it look better. Because I always advise people, if they can, when they write content, to write it, check it, get a second pair of eyes. If you haven't got a second pair of eyes, use something like Grammarly, and they have a really good free checker, and then reread it out loud the next day. I mean, obviously when you're creating social posts, but if it's going to be something that's going to be on your website or a sales page or a landing page, something that people are going to see a lot and it's going to be static for some time, obviously you want that to be on the money. So so to pause and relook at it. So I wouldn't say I would say at least download some ideas. So you've kind of, even if you can't write the full content, so you're not failing, if that makes sense, because there's something really awful about going, okay, on Monday I'm going to do this, Tuesday I'm going to do this, and then you don't do any of the things that you've planned to do. So even if you just map out ideas and then fill them out on another day when you're feeling more inspired. But I think just taking time out to walk, and using the Pomodoro technique when you're really like, I don't want to, and we've all been there, haven't we? But if you just go, it's just half an hour I'm going to take, and then you take a 5-minute break, reward yourself, go off and do something else, go and make a cup of tea, watch something on YouTube, whatever you like doing, and then do another half an hour. At least that way you're moving forward, but you're not saying this is the completed bit of content. I think that's what I tend to do, because I'm deadline driven. I have to have deadlines, otherwise nothing gets done. In my background, it's in my blood. I need a deadline.
Yeah. No, I love that, because I think it's like going to the gym. Even if you don't feel like it, once you get there and you've got your first 5 minutes done, then you realize, okay, it's actually not so bad. It's
exactly.
just there,
Yeah, and that's I agree. I think that's a really good analogy for writing content, that you don't feel like doing it, but once you get going. And the other thing which I love to do, and I say this to my clients when they get stuck, ask your audience, right? So either pop in, do a live, or just do a little, 2-liner, like what you're struggling with right now, how can I help? And then you probably get 5-10 blog posts or long posts or even short posts that you can create from people's questions or what they're, and it will be, for me, it's things like, I don't know what to write. What happens when I'm not creative, all those things, suddenly you've got all these ideas you can write about. So that's another one to do if you're stuck. And also it creates really nice engagement within your community if you've got a group.
Yes. So what is one thing that you're doing in your business now that you weren't doing 6 months ago?
I'm investing in myself. I have a coach. I've joined a mastermind. I have been using coaches, but this one's my biggest investment yet, and it's for 6 months, because I want people to invest working with me, and I'm investing in growing my kind of mindset and skills as well. So yeah, that's been the big change for me.
Yes. I always say that you can't expect your clients to do what you're not willing to do yourself. And
Yeah.
often when after we've done the therapy part and we actually go into the business coaching, women will say to me, but they want to sell a high ticket offer, maybe $2,000 or something. And then they're like, but nobody's signing up for it. And I'm like, well, have you signed up for that amount yourself before? And often the answer is no. If they haven't spent more than $500 on their own self-development, expecting other people now to spend 4, 5, 6 times that with them, it often doesn't work out because they haven't gone through the process themselves. And when they start investing in themselves, all of a sudden, it's like the floodgates open. It's like, oh, okay, things are starting to fall into place. That's really interesting how these things in your own life start mirroring or showing up in your business, and how that's connected. That's something that I find really, really interesting.
Yeah, and I think it's energy, isn't it? It's energetically you're open to investing in yourself, and then others can see the benefit of working with you. I don't know how that works. I guess the sort of law of attraction stuff. I mean, I'm not big into that, but I do understand. I do think it is energy and mindset, isn't it? So yes, so that's and I also think it can be lonely being an entrepreneur. I've worked from home for 10 years. I've built 2 businesses and brought up twins, and I've done all of that, and having community and accountability and coaching to encourage you, and being with people who've got the same mindset and belief in themselves was really, really, really useful.
Yes. And that's one thing that I noticed as well from moving from the corporate world into working from home, is that the people, you need the people, even the introverts need to have that connection, people to share your ideas with, to encourage you, to inspire, to give you feedback as well. So that's another point.
I ran a series of live events locally actually last year, which I've really enjoyed doing. So it's definitely going to be back in my sort of mapping out of 2020, but I'm thinking of doing some where I live, which is in Maidenhead in Berkshire, but also some in London. So I mean, I'm speaking at quite a few events, but I'd like to host one of my own as well. So watch out 2020.
So what does your morning routine look
like? So morning routine is making sure my very lovely 12-year-old twin girls have all their stuff. No, but before that, I usually get up about 7. I'll make a cup of tea. I'll check in with what I've got to do that day. Then I'll help my girls leave the house by 8. I need to be around really between that hour, and then I usually go and exercise. So I'm into Nordic walking or running, and then I'm kind of back at my desk really by 9:15, and that's when I kind of get going. I'll map out the most important things I need to do that day. We've got a content plan. We usually plan out the quarter, so a lot of my work will be around checking my VAs got that all scheduled and going out, and also working with my one-to-one clients, and also my group course, which is starting in October. So it will be checking in with them as well. So the other thing I like to do is gratitude. So I'll think of 3 things I'm grateful for. I tend to do that before I get out of my bed. So I've kind of given you in the reverse order, but mainly it's sorting out very forgetful twins who like, where's my PE kit? I don't know where my water bottle is. I keep on meaning to get up at 6 and go for a run then, but it just doesn't happen for me. So I'm okay with going out at 8. That works for me.
Yes, I think that's something that a lot of people, when they try, everyone knows that it's really important to have that morning routine and to check in with yourself. But often I find that people are forcing themselves to do things that don't fit their lifestyle or that they don't enjoy doing it. They saw some online guru doing it like that, and now they believe, okay, that's the only way to do it, and being miserable because it doesn't actually fit their lifestyle, or it's things, trying to force themselves to be a runner when actually they're more into yoga or Pilates or,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I run reluctantly. I'm definitely a walker. For me, Nordic walking really, I mean, you look ridiculous. Everyone says, where are your skis? But I absolutely love it because you get a full body workout and you can still have a chat. I usually go out with a friend because I think I'm an ambivert, so I need to be around people. I also need to be by myself. But yeah, so for me, sort of walking's more sociable than running, and I'm not built to run. I realise this, so I like it. Just it's a quick way of kind of releasing. If you're feeling a bit stressed or whatever. But I like yoga too, so I like to mix it all up. But for me, the morning is cup of tea first, really, for me, and just and I like to check in and see what's happening on my social accounts and stuff. And then deal with kids and then do exercise. That's it works for me.
Okay. So everyone always talks about the best advice they receive, but I like to ask people what's the worst advice they've ever received, because I find that often we learn a lot more from that.
I think it's probably when are you going to get a proper job? As in, when are you going to give up this entrepreneurial business? And I'm like, never. I chose to work from home when my children were small, and I'm a firm believer in flexible working and creating a work and lifestyle that suits you. I think that's what's so great about being in this summit and talking to women like you as well who are building businesses the same way. We need a more flexible world to work in, and the digital space is such an amazing space to be able to grow and build a business that you love running, and you don't have a boss, and you don't have to go into an office and commute on a horrible train and all that stuff. So I think we're incredibly lucky. And I'm not going to go and get a proper job anytime soon. This is a proper job and I love doing it.
I feel that sometimes people who have never, well, let's start it this way. I think that people who are entrepreneurs are different by nature anyway. They just tick differently to other people. And to the outside world, I understand that it must look really, inconsistent or really flaky because they don't understand and they don't see the behind the scenes work. I have friends that have never been entrepreneurs and they don't do anything in the online space. They don't even have Facebook accounts, and they just don't get what I do at all. They just have no idea of, the behind the scenes and the work and all of that. So I think that's another reason why it's so important to connect with people that are on a similar journey or that have the same goals, because they get it. You don't have to sit there for an hour and try and explain, okay, what actually goes into hosting an online summit, or learning all the tech skills, all these things, because they know they're in that with you. So, and that's why I always think it's so important to have these, I call them biz besties, people that are in that similar journey and that you can actually get that support from, because often in our immediate environment, it's not possible.
Yeah, or you'll be like, oh, I saw you go live again. Why are you always going live? And I'm like, because it's my business, it's how I build my business. And a little like or a thumbs up would be great. Thank you. Give me a wave. It'll help me build my business. Thanks. So it is. And I just say to people can scroll on by if they don't want to read about what you're doing in your business. They don't have to comment, or it's their stuff, not yours. They're not your ideal customer. Don't worry about them. Let them get on with complaining about you going live all the time. Whatever it is that they feel the need to comment on, it's they're not they're not your ideal customer, they don't understand your world. That's fine. Let them be who they want to be. You know, if they've got time to look at people's stuff and comment negatively, then they're not spending their day productively, are they? You know, as far as I'm concerned, you know, I haven't got time to be looking at other people's stuff and telling them what they should or should not be doing. You know, I believe in what I'm doing and the people I work with, and you know, and I love seeing other women be successful. You know, whether they've worked with me or not, I think it's amazing.
Yeah. So you have a gift for our audience. Please tell us a bit about that.
Yes, it's 30 content ideas in 30 minutes. So we talked about people being time poor. So this is just a free download where you can just get some inspiration and get those content ideas flowing. So yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. I think I'll download that myself as well, because
cool.
What I noticed online lately is that there seems to be these trends. You know, at one point it was the value post. I see you, girl, all of that. And then it was the vulnerability post where people were, you know, having these fake vulnerability moments, you know, where you can see it's not really authentic. There's a lot of bad acting going into that. How important do you think it is should people try and actively say, okay, today I'm going to write a value post, or today it's going to be a teaching post, today it's going to be a vulnerability post? Or do you think that people should just go more with what they inspired by on the day?
No, I think you need to have room in your. I think you should plan out your content. So you should look at what your products, what you're selling, your services, or your packages, or your online courses, whatever space you work in. So you should look at what you're selling first and what content you can create around that. Because sometimes I think people just think if they create content, you know, you have to create content with purpose. So you need to look at your kind of the quarter ahead of you or 6 months ahead of you and go, okay, well, I'm launching this course then, or I need 12 one-to-one clients by this date. So set yourself some financial targets, really, and then that content should be created around that. And then when I work with people one-to-one, we'll work out whether they do you know, like a testimonial case, social proof kind of post, which they're the easiest to do, aren't they? You can share a screenshot of a Facebook review or a LinkedIn recommendation, and we'll rotate the different ideas, and then like a long post, you know, about how they've like a how-to, maybe like a top tip, and so on. So we'll rotate all the different types of content, but that should be mapped out, and that's what we do on the course. We'll map that out, so you're not every day thinking, what do I need to write today, and that you but you leave room to comment on something every day that is organic, that maybe something, you know, behind the scenes is very easy. So what you've up to, so you and I can both go and chat and say, oh my God, I just had an amazing morning talking to Janine on this summit. You know, that's a really easy bit of content to create, and also it shows people a day in the life of what you're doing. So you need to leave room in your content plan to be able to do that. But I think it's good to also have scheduled posts around, and don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean they should be sales posts, because nobody likes being sold too cold. You know, you need to warm people up, so you need to be talking around the themes of what you're selling rather than go. But when you are launching something, it's absolutely fine to also do a post going, well, I'm launching this, you know, but you've warmed them up with the content, with helping them, and all the different types of posts that we've just discussed, really. But I do, again, you know, don't do a fake vulnerable post. That's just icky. Like if it feels icky, don't do it. That, for me, I'm like, life's too short to be writing stuff that you don't believe in. Like, why? It's like, no, I would never do that. I just couldn't. It just doesn't resonate with me, and I don't think it will resonate with the right people for you either. You might be getting customers, but are they going to be the customers you want to work with?
Yes.
So
I think that comes back to that that idea of not copying other people, because when they see, okay, that person posted that and they had 100 likes or it was shared 100 times, they then go and try and copy that without the results, because it's the energy isn't there. It's just copying
Yeah, I mean,
someone
I
else.
think it's fine to be inspired by others. Obviously, don't copy, never copy. Obviously, if you know, people like Amy Porterfield and Maria Forleo, or even Janet Murray, people like that who are really big and sort of who are really good at writing copy, and obviously have a team helping them. You know, it's absolutely fine to look at the way they're writing their posts, because they're making millions. They're making millions of dollars. You know, like, what they're doing is working. So it's good to get inspired. You can see the kind of posts that they're creating, and you know, you can join their newsletters and see the sort of copy they're writing. And I think it's good to be inspired, but put your own flavor into it. You know, put your own magic sauce. You know, what's unique about you and how you help others, not how they help others, because we're all different. But so be inspired, but don't copy. I mean, the other day I was sort of scrolling through my Instagram feed and I'm like, oh, that sounds really familiar. Oh, so does that. And I was like, someone's copying my copy. And I was going to message them and all this stuff. And then I just thought, oh God, you know, just let them crack on. Like, fine. What can you do? Like, she's not going to stop. So I'm going to block her, but that's it. You know, let her, you know, if she's got the time to go and copy and paste my copy and not write her own, let her get on with it. But yeah, so you do get that, don't you? And you've got to think sort of imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, but equally, like you say, you've got to write something that's true to you, that feels good, and that attracts the kind of people you want to work with. And I think when you're aligned with that, you feel good and you attract the right people. I really believe that.
You also have a bonus for the people that actually buy the summit. Tell us a bit about that.
Oh, right. Yes. So the bonus, let's have a look. Okay. So the bonus is they can get a 45-minute call with me. So we can map out some content ideas for them for the next quarter, or look at a landing page or a sales page or whatever they want to do. So that's my bonus.
That sounds amazing. So those of you that are starting out and you're not sure about your content or your copywriting skills, that's an opportunity for Claire to do a little bit of an audit on a page or something, and to actually show you
or we'll map out a simple content plan for you to get going with. Yeah, definitely.
Perfect. So you also have a Facebook group. Please tell us about that and what kind of topics you discuss in there.
Yeah, so it's called Cracking Content. So it's to help you crack your content. I think we've got nearly 800 people in there now, so it's quite a good community. And it's I bring in guest experts as well. So people like graphic designers or Instagram experts, people that can bring other elements into content creation that I don't do. And I do a live Q&A once a week, talking about content and creating content, and we also talk about pitching to the press as well, because they're the kind of two things that I concentrate on. And and there's opportunities to share your offers and so on in it. So yeah, you can find it in Facebook. It's called Cracking Content.
That sounds
I'd
awesome.
love you to come and join us.
That sounds awesome. I'll definitely link to your Facebook group below this video, so everyone that's interested can go and have a look at that. So if you had to recommend one book that you think all female entrepreneurs should read, what would that be?
Well, it's a new one, actually. It's a lady that a friend of mine introduced me to. She's called Sam Rathling, who's a LinkedIn expert, and it's called LinkedIn Bound. She's just released it, and I read it on the plane back from Mallorca last night. It took me a couple of hours. I've been using LinkedIn since about April this year. I was one of those people that thought it was a bit stuffy or business to business, not my ideal target, and it couldn't be further from the truth. I've already done quite a lot of business really, really like LinkedIn. It's a really great way to find prospects organically. You can find through the search, even the free option, your ideal customers really easily and connect with them. You can publish content a lot, and a lot of people on LinkedIn aren't creating any content at all. So you're not in a saturated market at all, although lots more people are getting clued up about LinkedIn and using LinkedIn as a platform for sharing your content. So there's a lot of really useful nuggets in there about social selling and, using your content to attract the right people to you, rather than sort of cold calling and dropping into people's inboxes and doing all that kind of icky stuff that none of us like doing. So if you create the right content, the right people will come to you.
Well, that sounds wonderful. So what is the best way for viewers to reach out if they want to work with you?
You can check out my website. It's clairewinter.info. You can find me on Facebook and Twitter, Claire Winter UK. And on Instagram, I'm making words come alive. And obviously cracking content. If you just search in Facebook, you'll find me, my free community.
That sounds awesome. So thank you so much for taking the time to come and speak to us today. I really appreciate that. And I hope that this has inspired the viewers to actually start putting a lot of thought and a system into their content, and to start actively planning it out so that it actually becomes an asset in their business.
Yeah, and not a burden. It shouldn't be a burden. It should be fun. And you can do it in an hour to 2 hours a week, and it's well worth putting that effort in.
All right. So everyone, please join me for the last interview of the summit, which is with Trisha Scott, the founder and editor of the Female CEO and CEO magazine. Until then, bye now.